Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I'm Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me once again. So, in a recent interview with Variety, Oscar-winning actor Morgan Freeman was asked about Black history, and he essentially said that he detests Black history and that it makes his teeth itch. Yeah, that's what he said. And so we're going to get into this article, and I'm going to let you guys listen in on a 50-second audio clip that he gave in an interview with Mike Wallace some years ago that connects with what he said in this interview with Variety. Now, you may be asking, why am I talking about this? Because, as you all know, the 19th of this month is Juneteenth, okay? And this is a time where blacks all over America celebrate their freedom from slavery, how they've been freed from slavery. Actually, according to some sources, the Emancipation Proclamation had already been initiated. Slaves had already been freed some years before, but June 19th was the time that certain people within certain regions of the country were not aware that they had been set free, and that it was their time to be made aware of that. So I'm not going to go into all the details so that you can study it on your own. But yeah, so this is a time that where blacks all over America are going to celebrate their freedom from slavery. And some people are going to be given that day off. Some people that choose to work on that day will be getting time and a half. I'm off Tuesdays and Wednesdays automatically, so that don't matter to me. But anyway, let's get right into this article, and I'm going to let you guys listen in on the 50-second audio clip. And then we're going to get into the discussion of what Morgan Freeman is saying and how I myself feel about all of this. But yeah, so anyway, Oscar-winning actor Morgan Freeman has turned on Black History Month and declared he, quote, detests it. The Hollywood star, known for his roles in The Shawshank Redemption, great movie by the way, and the Dark Knight trilogy, made plain his antipathy in an interview, critically appraising the annual event that takes place every February across the country. Freeman told Variety in an exchange with journalist Martha Balaga, I hope I'm pronouncing these names, boy, Balaga, just have a regular name. The very idea makes his, quote, teeth itch, and he prefers the broader sweep of the entire arc of American history. I detest it, the mere idea of it. You're going to give me the shortest month in the year? And you are going to celebrate my history? This whole idea makes my teeth itch. It's not right. My history is American history. Take note of that, My history is American history. It's the one thing in this world I am interested in beyond making money, having a good time, and getting enough sleep. And look, for me personally, that's not what I'm not finna not get any sleep or I'm more into whatever works for you, whatever makes you feel good about yourself. I respect that. If that makes him feel good about himself, he can't get sleep and more concerned about his identity as a black man. If that's what defines him, then I respect that. That's just not my flow. But anyway, I'm not going to sit up here and not get sleep and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, Black History Month has been in the actor's sights before, admitting last year he finds the idea and the term African American an insult, as Breitbart News reported. Two things I can say publicly that I do not like. Black History Month is an insult. You're going to regulate my history to a month, he told the Sunday Times Culture magazine. Now, a lot of people would read into that and hear into that and say, well, yeah, that's right. That's right. My history is greater than a month. You gonna regulate my history? Now, I don't think that's what he's saying. Let's go on. Also, African American is an insult. I don't subscribe to that title. Black people have had different titles all the way back to the N-word, and I do not know how these things get such a grip, but everyone uses African American. The Oscar-winning $1 Million Baby star, great movie, another great movie, also spoke out against Black History Month almost 20 years ago. And here's the part of the interview. In a viral 2005 interview with CBS 60 Minutes, Freeman told correspondent Mike Wallace, I don't want a Black History Month. When asked by Wallace, how are we going to get rid of racism, Freeman replied, stop talking about it. And here's his words.
History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman.
And that's the end of that right there. Yeah. And then it goes on, the article goes on to say, 10 years later, the actor again expanded his thoughts on the subject. If we accept that, in fact, we are all bigots, that we are hardwired to be biased, then we can accept that. Okay, that's going to be the first thing in our brains. But the second thing in our brains can be our conscious effort at acceptance, he said. And that's in that article right there. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because, of course, Juneteenth is coming up, and this is going to be a hot topic. It's interesting to me because I don't hear a lot of backlash about Morgan Freeman having this kind of attitude towards Black History Month, but here's what I read into that. What I interpret from Morgan Freeman about this is that this whole idea of not regulating our history to 1 month, I don't think he's saying, oh, you guys want to regulate our history to 1 month because we're more important than one more month. We as black people should be given a whole year. I don't think that's what he's saying, like some black people would actually say. We so important, we're gods on this earth. I mean, some black people, depending on what faction of the black society they're coming from, literally believe we're gods. No person is God, black, white, whatever, you're not a God. So let's not even go there, okay? If you feel offended by what I said, that's my opinion on it, you'll be all right. I think what Morgan Freeman is saying is that I want to be treated just like everybody else. As black people, we want to be treated just like everybody else. That's all. I mean, black history is American history is what he's saying. And if you just say American history and include the atrocities that blacks in slavery times and Jim Crow days and so forth was happening to black people then that's a part of American history. It's not positive, obviously. It's horrible, obviously, but it's a part of American history. But at the end of the day, as a black man, this is what I'm hearing from him. As a black man in America, I'm an American. I just happen to be black, but I'm an American. So at the end of that interview with Mark Wallace, he was like, I'm going to stop calling me a black man, and I'm going to stop calling you a white man. Why would he say that? Because it seems to me, in my opinion, he said, accept me for who I am. As an American, as a human being, accept me for who I am. And I'm going to accept you for who you are. And then Mark Wallace, always talking about how we going to stop racism. How we going to stop? First of all, we'll never be able to stop any form of racism. And I'm getting religious here, but it is what it is. We're never going to be able to stop any kind of so-called racism until Jesus Christ comes back and sets up his kingdom physically on earth. I know some people don't believe in that, but when it happens, don't get mad. Okay? When he eradicates all this nonsense the right way. Okay, but everybody talking about trying to get rid of it, you'll never, because racism is of the heart. A person can be sitting right next to you, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter, and think of you as inferior, and you wouldn't know it because they're thinking. What you doing? You reading their mind? You ain't going to know that because racism is of the heart. It comes from within. So you can't stop what people are thinking. So you'll never be able to eradicate racism in and of itself. But anyway, going back to this foolish question that Mark Wallace asked him years ago in this interview, what about racism? He just says, stop talking about it. The only reason why racism keeps coming up is because people keep talking about it. If the Democrats are not constantly talking about it to keep blacks voting for them, okay, or or these groups out here, these black empowerment groups don't stop talking about, nobody would know about it. They would stop thinking about it. They would stop being worried about it. Now, that doesn't mean it's not around. Let me say this so people don't start getting butthurt. Well, you denying racism. No, I'm not denying racism. Let me say that again. I am not denying that racism exists. It exists. It will always exist. As long as we're in this sin-cursed world, it's going to exist. You can go to Timbuktu, it's going to exist. It doesn't matter. It's going to exist. I'm not denying that it exists. But is racism in America, in 2024 America, a major problem for black people? If you're real with yourself and if you're intellectually honest, you know it's not. Because anytime I got to ask a black person to pick something that describes true racism against you. I'm talking about on a systematic way. I'm not talking about isolated incidents. I'm talking about on a systematic way. They could never give it to me because it's been done away with. Black and white people are sitting up sleeping with each other, getting married. Stop it, man. Stop it. I agree with Morgan Freeman on it. Stop talking about it. Just talk about our skills and talents and the things that we love to do as Americans. You know, we may have distinctions in the distinctive ways in which and how we express these type of viewpoints. We may be distinctive in that as a black person, as a white person, as a Hispanic person, as an Asian person. They may have their own distinctive styles that may come from their culture. But when you start elevating culture over common sense, elevating culture over your abilities and your gifts and your talents, then you missing out. You missing out. You end up isolating yourself from everyone else. And how's that benefiting that person? How's it been? Now, like I said earlier in the introduction of this video, what works for one person, if they feel that type of their culture is more, it defines who they are, then I respect that. I respect that wholeheartedly. I don't come against it. I respect that wholeheartedly. I do. I respect that. But at the same time, because we're in America, there are certain concepts and ideas that's purely America. And if you want to do certain things in America, like get a job and stuff like that, now they're trying to change all of that, you know, but I think it's stupid, a lot of the stuff they're trying to change. I mean, you know, but if you want to get a job and things like that, you have to go to American schools, learn, although they trying to switch it up with this critical race theory and all this other bull crap, but you have to go to school, learn American ways in order to get an American job, okay? That's what you got to do. We're still in America. Now the radical left is the radical left is trying to change all of that, okay, to make it into something, America into something that it is not. But there's still little snippets of Americanism here, okay? And if you're going to want to get a good job, you're going to have to learn the American ways of doing things because you're in America. So if you elevate your culture over that and say, no, I don't want to go to these American schools, that's too Eurocentric, I don't want to learn, that's math according to the ways white people learn math, that's science according to the ways white people learn science. Okay, that's your view, that's your opinion. But guess what? If you don't learn that system in America and you leave out of the American, God forbid, you know, granted, if you graduate, you're going to have a problem. Because a lot of the businesses and corporations, you have to know certain things and learn certain things in order for them to hire you. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, yeah, I agree with Morgan Freeman on a lot of this. I mean, he's saying, look, and the whole idea of regulating my history to just one particular month, he says it's not. He says, no, I mean, you know, no. My history is American history. Don't regulate it to just 1 month because it's divisive. That's what I read out of it. Now, let me start some of the video on this. I think I mentioned this in another video in the same subject several years ago. When you really look at the whole idea of history, you got American history, Asian history, Latino history, all these different forms of history you have. Because history is a time frame. Something begins and something ends or something begins and it keeps going on. Okay, that's history. With time, it's a time frame, time paradigm that history goes on. But every culture has their own history, and every individual has their own history. I'm 55 now. I have my own personal history. It's a mixture of different things. It's a mixture of R&B music, the love for R&B music, but it's also a mixture of a love for what was called new wave music in the 1980s. Most of the new wave music was sung by white people from Europe. It's also a mixture of rock and roll, okay? Van Halen and all of this. That's my history is made up of that. It's made up of both aspects, the love of a lot of the things in black culture and the love of a lot of the things in America, white culture. That's my personal history. And since that's my personal history that I have, my personal history is more important than black history or any other kind of history. Because whether I know about black history or about this person's history or not is null and void to me. If I write an autobiography, I'm going to write an autobiography about my history, not American history, not black history, not white history, not Asian history, my history. So on that scope, in some of this video up, history really is a personal thing. You can make it a national thing. You can make it a cultural thing. But at the end of the day, as individuals, and that's how I like to look at us, look at people as individuals. I judge as individuals. At the end of the day, it's your own personal history. What kind of personal history that you yourself have developed? Just saying. So that's just my take on it. I agree with a lot of what he's saying here. Morgan Freeman is saying, you know, how do we stop racism? Stop talking about it. Only people talking about it is the Democrats and the far left liberal media, because they want to keep blacks thinking, and blacks and others, minority groups, if you want to call them that, thinking towards voting for the Democrats. That's all it's all about. As long as I can keep you aware that you're being oppressed by Republicans and conservatives and you're a victim of systemic racism, then when it comes time to vote, you're going to vote for the Democrats. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, man. That's my take on it. That's my opinion. What do you guys think about what Morgan Freeman said about Black History Month, and what's your take on it? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.